Get ready. It's time. Christina, Catherine, Lisa, Amy, and Lauren. Welcome to the Cimarelli Podcast.
Hey, I'm Christina.
I'm Catherine.
I'm Lisa.
I'm Amy.
I'm Lauren.
And we're Cimarelli.
Welcome back to
The Cimarelli Podcast.
Woohoo! Yay! Oh,
Hey.
my water was on the ground. I just realized.
Gotta have the water, guys. Always.
There were so many comments on my water, and the other day, no, that was like a month ago. That was just a long time ago. They're like, Lisa's food, and then everyone's like, wait, why are you saying Lisa's food? What about Christina's cup? I was like, it's okay, guys. It's okay.
It's a really pretty cup.
She has the same cup every time. I don't know.
You know, that cup is kind of unexpected for you,
Yeah.
I would say.
It's so
I
girly.
didn't buy it.
Oh,
Not for my birthday.
that makes sense.
But it matches my backpack and my phone.
No, it's
Wow.
cute. Pink. I
don't know. Yeah, I love it. I love it.
I love that for you.
Hello, YouTube.
Hey, guys.
Hey.
Or hello, Patreon a week before YouTube. Every other episode of the Cimarelli Podcast is available only on Patreon, and they also get these YouTube episodes a week early. But hello, YouTube. If this is your first episode, I'm going to tell you what the Cimarelli Podcast is. It's a fun, uplifting podcast where we also focus a lot on self-improvement and personal growth. And we share juicy stories and discuss personal topics and get vulnerable and real with you guys. It's a great, great thing. Oh, we have an announcement today. We have an announcement that today on YouTube, not if you're watching this on Patreon in 1 week, today on YouTube, we're telling you guys this, our new song, I Am Enough, is out today.
Whoa.
It's a great song. So you got to go listen to it, okay?
This is so exciting. I love that song. Wow. Oh, my
an
gosh.
empowerment-
Go listen.
It's an empowerment anthem.
Don't pause this and listen, but like,
I mean, you can
pull it up.
Yeah, it
So
kind
you're
of
put
ready.
it in the queue.
It kind of goes with this episode.
It
like
really
this
does.
episode is an empowering episode. I don't know if there's much about comparison in the song necessarily.
there
I don't
is.
remember.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
like
I'll
okay,
never
it really
it's
does
like
then.
that.
I don't need to exist in comparison to other people. Yeah.
Yes.
Whatever I am,
guys,
I'm
okay.
I'm
So,
so excited to get
If you
empowered
feel
today.
pumped after this episode, especially go listen to the song because it goes with the vibes. Okay.
Yes.
So we're going to jump into this episode. Oh, yeah, I didn't say that. We're talking about overcoming comparison culture. Although you guys, you clicked on it, you probably already knew that. Okay.
Yeah.
But that's what we're talking about today. So we're going to start with our highs and lows before we get into that main topic of conversation. So what's your highs and lows of the week?
I have a high turned low turned. Yeah.
Okay.
So basically, this is a bit of a story, so I'll keep it brief. So I have a neighbor who has a friend who hangs out on their front porch. And this guy is a very helpful man. So he's helped me multiple times, like park my car. That was in an aforementioned episode. And then he helped me unlock my door because I was trying to open it with my foot, but it was locked. And yesterday he was there and I introduced myself. Upon closer inspection, I was like, not my type. So that was the low. Was I thought he was not in a physical way. I still think he's rather cute, but his personality, I could just tell with like, he made a comment about how much they drink. And like, I was like, that's just not going to work with my lifestyle, but you're a very helpful young man and I really appreciate you.
Wow.
So yeah.
Sounds like you're doing like a job interview.
Literally.
You're a helpful young man.
I was like, oh, I'm Amy. He's like, oh, yeah, I've helped you park your car a few times. It was
Yeah,
once.
I remember.
You're like,
It
I
was
didn't need
once,
your help.
but I
I'm
guess
independent.
I made quite an impression.
Oh, yeah. I remember that. I called my family and told them all about it.
If you guys
did.
remember that
I
from
did.
Amy's current
'Cause
crisis.
he's cute. I just don't think we'll be a match, guys.
Wow.
Okay.
All right. I got a
You
high.
win, you lose.
Wait, what was the high?
That she talked to him.
Yeah.
She got to talk to her crush, and then
then-
the low was she realized he wasn't her crush.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It just
okay.
has lifestyles. I could tell.
This morning, I woke up and I realized a typical thing that I do is sometimes I miss up. I do it the opposite way, but I realized I had more time than I thought, which usually happens. So I got to go on a great walk. Only, 20 minutes, I think?
Ooh.
I think it was a 20-minute walk, but it was great. It was one of those ones where you wake up or where you look up and you see the green trees against the blue sky. And it's like, it's so beautiful. Like,
love
it
that.
really just cleared my mind for those 20 minutes. It was great. The low was just before this, I am wearing socks, and they're from Harry Potter. I don't remember what they are, but I'm wearing socks, and I kicked my cat's water bowl, and it spilled all over my left sock.
Oh
But then it turned into a high because it's a little warm in here, and it's keeping my foot cool.
Wait, you're
Why
wearing a
didn't you
wet
just take
sock?
them
I'm
off?
wearing one
Change
wet
your
sock
socks. Your
because
room is
I was
right
like,
over
you know,
there.
it doesn't
That's
feel
my
that bad.
nightmare.
Oh wait, but it
So
is
it's
kind of
not
hot.
a
I'm gonna
my
take them
nightmare.
off.
no. Wet socks are
We'll just
my
keep it as a
nightmare.
low.
When you step in
Okay.
water in the kitchen in a sock, that is the absolute worst feeling ever.
Yeah, I'm
Ugh.
out on that
I
one.
hate it.
I'm so far out.
Is someone else going or?
I'll go. So my high was that I ran a mile for the first time in my
Whoa.
life.
I
I'm
cannot
pretty
do
sure
that.
I've never done that. I know. I feel like that's like a normal thing. Like
That's
oh, a
hard.
mile. But
It is
like
hard.
I've never been able to run that far, and I've been kind of
Wow.
like working on
Oh
it.
my
And I ran a
Nice.
mile.
That's
Wow.
insane.
So
For our family of women, not men, except for
Yeah.
you. The men are family that run a lot. But for women, it's like you
Yeah, I
ran.
ran.
yeah,
A
none of
mile?
us really run. So
I've
I
ran
did in
6
boxing,
miles.
but
Oh,
That's
nice.
shocking.
They made us run.
And then my low is that I refuse to go to the grocery store for some reason. So I just keep having to scrounge around for food.
Same.
And I don't know why I just won't go.
Uh-huh.
But it's really irritating
Oh, it keeps
me.
happening to me.
You're like, dry pasta again.
You're like debating with your client, but it's you.
Yes.
Your client won't go to the grocery store.
Yes.
Yikes.
Yikes.
What do I have to do?
Are you gonna go?
You can go.
Okay, I thought we were going down because it's like we were kind
No.
of going down the table.
Oh yeah, we were.
All right.
Yeah.
Switching it up. Okay, so me on the end. This is not that deep. This is really not deep at all. But this was definitely kind of a low for me. Earlier this week, Max and I went on a beach trip, and one of the nights, I was like, "Oh my gosh, we should do a movie night. Let's go to the store and get like our favorite candies." So Max got peach O's. He loves peach O's.
I don't
Okay.
know what
I
the
think those
heck
are
that
good.
is.
hurt
And
my
I got
stomach. They're just
gummy
random.
worms, and popcorn and M&Ms. So it was,
Ooh,
it
I
was
want some
lit.
gummy worms.
So I like made the popcorn, brought out all these snacks, got my water. I was so excited for this movie night. We go to the Airbnb's TV and realize this TV is from the prehistoric ages. It literally has like 1,000 channels that none of them work. And there's no option like, you could like pay for a movie. Nothing. You have to like, it's like you have to pay for a subscription from the user's account or whatever. So it's like literally there was like, I think there was 3 working channels. And
What
so we had to
was
choose
on?
between like, it was like Law and Order SVU. I was like, that is not something I'm going to pop popcorn for. It's like a very normal
It's
show.
a great show.
And
It is
then,
a great show.
And then there's
It's
and it was
scary.
like this Tom Cruise movie that we ended up watching called Jack Reacher. That's what it was.
yeah,
Oh,
that's
I've
a
heard of
great
that.
movie.
That was a pretty good movie,
I love
honestly.
that
I
movie.
will say it was a little bit violent for me. I was like, ooh, I hate violence.
He's not very believable as like a stunt guy. It's kind of like what?
Yeah,
Like,
but-
Does he like do
Yeah.
his stunts though?
I don't know.
I think he's pretty into doing all his
Yeah,
stunts, and
just
like
so
he's a
hard.
pretty like stunty guy.
The delivery of his lines actually makes me not take him seriously, even though he does a lot
I
of.
think
his
I've never
stunts.
seen anything with him
Yeah,
in
it's
it.
just
Yeah, I don't
weird
think I have
having
either.
a really old TV choose your movie for you. It feels very
Oh
violating.
Kat, you're back in the olden days. This
2005.
used to have it all the
Yeah.
time.
So anyway, that was a very not dramatic low. But my high was we saw dolphins.
Yeah.
We went on a boat and saw dolphins. It was so fun.
That's
and there were
so
these
fun,
really cute
Kat.
little kids sitting next to me, and just seeing them see the dolphins just brought me so much joy and just
Dolphins are the best.
Vitality.
I love dolphins.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'm
that
not
was
doing a very deep one at all again. I'm doing a really non-deep,
There's no law that they need to be deep.
shallow one. I know,
No
but I
law.
don't want it to sound like I have no problems. My life is perfect, which
Yeah.
many
I
people
don't
do on
think
the
anyone
internet.
thinks
sometimes
that.
the lows are
Do you
so
guys think
personal.
that
you don't want to
Every
say
week
them.
you
think everyone
say
knows.
that these are not our deepest problems.
No, I don't.
because
I
sometimes
haven't
we
said it
don't
in
want
so
to
many
say our
episodes.
deepest problems, and that's okay.
That is fair.
Okay, so it's a theme and it's a very non-deep low. My low is that I'm really behind on my reading. And I'm really upset because I have things books that I like really need to finish by a certain time because they're like pregnancy related or like child related in some way, and it has like a timeline for me. Like I need to learn this stuff now, not after, and it's just it feels like school. Okay, I like school though, so I don't know how to explain this. It feels like school where the book like you want to learn the stuff, but like it's not maybe written in like the most enthralling way, and you're just like you want to learn it, but like just it's not that easy.
It
to
feels like
read.
work.
So it really feels like school. I'm like, I need to sit down and read that. I need to read it, but I don't want to. So I've been really stressed about that because I'm like, please just finish the books. But every morning I'm like, no, I don't want to read. Well, and because I'm in pain, so I wake up, I'm like in pain. I'm like, I don't want to read right now. I just want to lay here, try to ignore my pain. I can't really ignore it if I'm reading something I don't
Yeah,
really
I feel like reading
like
makes your
that
pain
much.
more noticeable. I've noticed that.
Really?
Like if I'm really sick and feeling painful, I don't
Yeah,
want to read.
no one reads.
I want to watch a show and just zone out.
That makes sense. Okay, that's probably
Yeah.
why. It makes you feel a little better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's just such a weird theme of books, but my high is that I have a really great stack of books and I got some more in the last week.
See, this is why you don't want to read your
learned-
boring books. Is you have so many good
I know.
books.
I have a
Yes.
really
I
great
know
stack
this.
of books, but I just
I
can't.
get it.
I can't get into them all right now. So then I'm like, what if I never read them? Oh no.
So it's a low turn, high turn, low again.
yeah, yes, exactly.
Yikes.
So those are my book problems.
I understand.
Sorry.
All right, so we're going to move on to our spicy advice Q&A.
Woo. All right. Our spicy advice Q&A comes from our patron, drum roll, while I pull it up, Coco T. Hey, Coco.
Hey, Coco.
That's kind of cool. It sounds like it's like your name is like, well, I know your last name's not T. It's just your initial, but it's like Coco and then like drinking
like it.
tea, like a chocolate
Oh.
tea. Love that for you. All right.
gosh.
She
It's a
said, this is a very
beverage?
unique question. I don't know if we've ever gotten this. Tips on, well, maybe in different words, but tips on fighting less with your sisters.
Wait, I feel like I've heard this a trillion
How is
times.
this-
No, people say like how to get along with your siblings, like, but they phrase it differently. It's like
Oh.
specifically fighting with your sisters.
Yeah, I get messages all. I mean, you guys probably get the same messages all the time.
Ooh.
Please, what's your advice? Please, what's your advice on how to get along with my siblings better?
I would say that if you're fighting frequently, because this is how to fight less, which is assuming that you are fighting frequently,
Yeah,
it's not about the nugget, it's about the lies. AKA, you're not actually fighting about what you think you're fighting about. So maybe you're yelling at them for stealing your clothing, but you're really mad at them for betraying your trust in a different way.
Yeah.
So you need to have some deeper
Conversation.
conversations
Well,
with
and
your
how-
sister and with yourself first. Figure out
Reflect.
what you need
What's
to
going on.
work out to quell the fighting. And maybe you're just tired of each other and you just keep fighting because you're the only people that you see. So
Yeah.
maybe
don't
find
think
a new
that's actually a
horizon or
thing.
hobby. I don't know. People with only one sibling, they say that they fight a lot because it's the only other person.
I don't
It
think
is,
that's
though,
actually the
for
full
me,
reason.
Though, like, okay, as like an introvert, I will start fighting with them because I need to be alone. If
Yeah.
they're the only
Yeah,
person
so
around,
I don't think
it's not
it's-
a problem with them.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm trying to say. I don't think your relationship has a problem of seeing that person. I think your problem is that you're not taking alone time or something else.
Yeah,
Like, it's
that's
something you
what
need
I
to
was
do.
Well,
trying to get at, I think.
But also to build on what Amy's saying, you have to ask yourself, like, how do you treat this person in general? Because, okay, do you always give them the worst piece of cake or whatever is left? Do you, oh, this tiny one, I'll give that to her. Or like, do you take their stuff without asking?
Do you call them
disrespect
names?
If your friend insults them in front of you, do you stand up for them? Like, if you treat them well, generally you're not going to fight that much. But if you treat them
Yeah.
like crap, they're probably going to fight with you a lot. And it's kind of like a simple equation, I think.
I do that to my fiance. If we get 2 donuts, I give him the smaller one.
And he's way bigger than you.
He's like, Max called me out on that the other
Oh,
day.
you know what?
Good.
Nick and I do that to each other. We're both such people from big families. I mean, am I the only one who's the only one someone from a big family.
Whoa.
So both of us like see the larger piece of pizza. And I was thinking like, oh, he'll get it to me. And I'm like, no, he's taking it for himself. And then he's like, I'm way bigger than you. I'm like, I mean, that's a good point. It's actually a good point.
Yeah,
truly
Max
is.
said that to me. He's like, wow, taking the bigger piece. I can't remember what it was left. And I was like,
oh, he's bullying
don't call
you.
me out on it. I was like, you take it fine. He's like, no, it's fine. I'm like, take it. I don't want it anymore. So awkward.
That's
Yeah.
funny.
Don't call me out on
Anyway,
taking
back,
the bigger piece.
back
to
to sisters.
Coco.
Not saying that they're like sisters.
I don't really know what to say about this honestly because I don't really fight with you guys that much,
Yeah, I don't either.
and I never did.
I'll never
more just
fight
get
with
an-
If
Lauren.
anyone was like being a jerk, I would just like
Ask
get
them
mad,
about it.
and then they would be like, "Oh, sorry."
Yeah, I feel like
So I don't know. We don't have this like, at least for me, I don't have this like cat fight thing going with anyone.
Yeah,
and I
we
never
don't.
did.
My solution is always just take space, and then I calm down, and then I don't care anymore. I just take space. Or like usually you need to talk about something, but I don't have these like fights with people.
And sometimes you never get real with your siblings. Sometimes you
Yeah.
never actually tell your sister, hey, when you said that, it really hurt my feelings.
Oh yeah.
And then she's just bickering with you about stealing your clothes or whatever. And it's like, it's not even about
Yeah.
that. So you have to get kind of deep and ask yourself when you're by yourself, what am I really mad about? What did she do that actually hurt me way more than these like petty things? 'Cause it's never about a petty thing.
Yeah, and it's like if it's something that needs to physically change, like maybe you're fighting about keeping your room clean if you share a room, then you got to make some more rules about
Or
that.
they could be passive aggressive. Like
Yeah.
there's so many layers to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. So try to figure out what the real
Get to
problem
the
is.
root of it.
And then have those conversations. Not everyone is willing to have the honest conversation. So hopefully your sister or sisters actually are willing to.
Sometimes people just have a really mean sibling too. I've heard
That's
of friends
true.
like this where they just have an awful sibling, and it's like at that point, I think it's better just take the high road. Sorry, I feel like I kind of cut you off, but you just take the high road. Don't be mean back to them. There's literally no point, and it's honestly sometimes they
That
just want
sucks.
to like incite you. Sometimes just kind of let it go. Try to love them from afar, or be nice. Just don't engage because
Get
it's not going to go
space.
anywhere.
Forgot what I was gonna say.
Dang it!
Sorry.
Do you want me to just go to the topic?
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. We're going to go into the topic of conversation, which is overcoming comparison culture. Something that is so relatable to everyone, I think, from the beginning of time, and it just got worse with social media, I want to
Oh,
say.
way worse.
Probably.
Magnified.
We're going to open up about ways we've compared ourselves to other people and why it can be so unhealthy and how to stop and what to do instead, basically. So
And I think something that I had to understand about it is that it's a very just natural human thing. Like just the way that our brains work, we're always comparing ourselves to other people. I think it's like a survival kind of instinct. So it's not something that is like okay, it's something that you have to actively choose not to do because
gonna
it's such a
happen.
natural thing.
that's a good point. Kind of like being scared. Like you can't just get fear to go away. It's like it has its uses,
Yeah.
but you gotta try to focus on not replaying things that are ruining your life over and over and over. Like what do you focus on, right?
And don't let it control you.
Don't let it compare you.
Yeah, it's in my head. Okay, so there's two types of comparison, and I think Christina, Lisa, and I, we all learned this in the same time. It was the same class in college we took together,
remember
social
this.
psychology.
Social.
We learned about this in our social psychology class. That's really hard to say. Social psychology.
psychology.
Wow. And our teacher taught us that there is upward and downward comparisons. Upward comparisons are when you compare yourself to someone that you perceive as better than you, above you.
Better off.
I just looked up to make sure because I was like, wait, which one's which? Downward comparisons are where you compare yourself to someone you perceive as worse than you
Or
or
like less, has
less
less.
than you. Yeah.
Less achievements,
less
less
off,
money, something
whatever.
like that.
Yeah. Or worse off. Is that right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. You
Worse.
get
I think
what I'm
less off
saying.
is good.
And we all, I don't know. Do you want to elaborate on that? Who, like on the positive versus negative
Yeah,
versions
there's-
of that?
When we were looking this up to try to remember, that was how many years ago was that?
10
That was
years
like
ago.
almost 10 years ago. Yeah.
2000. Actually, it was 11 years ago. It's 2009.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so 11 years ago, that was a while ago. Looking up, and I saw this interesting thing that was saying there can be positive and negative effects of both, actually. So you could be making an upward comparison. So I'm comparing myself to Oprah, and I could be like, oh, this sucks. She's doing so much better than me. I'm such a failure. Or I could go, wow, that's so cool that she is there. We have maybe like, oh, we have this thing in common. I see like this thing that she has that I could do as well. So she's like an inspiration to me, and it makes me hopeful about my future. Like that's so cool that
Yeah,
she
like,
impacts
she
people
did
like
it.
that.
I can do that.
So there's two different ways you could see that, and then for the downward one is the same, in that it has two different ways you take it, which is wait, what was the negative one when you're looking at them?
Scorn.
Scorn?
Yeah. When
Oh,
you're,
and
yeah.
you could be grateful. So that's
No,
what
no,
you're
no.
saying.
I'm saying what was the negative one.
Oh, okay.
The negative one was scorn.
where you're kind of like looking down on someone, being like, look how much money they have or what they've accomplished. I'm so glad I'm not in that position.
I've done
in
so
like
much more than they have.
in a really like egotistical
Hateful.
way.
It's kind of it can be
Yeah.
hateful.
Yeah, and
Doesn't
it
have to
usually
be.
feels gross when you do that. Like I've definitely done that, but then I'm like, oh,
It's,
I
it's
feel
doesn't
bad.
feel
It's
good.
out of insecurity for
Yes.
sure.
And then one of the positive effects is you can feel grateful for what you have. So you're like, oh man, I'm so grateful I'm not in that situation. I don't necessarily think that's like the best thing to do all the time.
No.
Well, yeah, it could be that you maybe, okay, here's an example. You have been working really hard on saving your money. And then you hear one of your friends is like really stressed out about their debt. And you
You're like,
don't have to be like, wow, what an idiot. But you could
No.
but in your mind, but you could think, wow, I'm really grateful I've spent the last couple
Yes.
years learning about this.
That's a
This
good
is-
point.
Yeah, like it can be
You're
a
not like
negative.
dwelling on them.
It's a moment of gratitude. It's reflection on your own choices.
That's a good
It doesn't
point.
have to
Okay.
be I'm better than you.
Instead of hating on them, you're just like loving yourself.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
You're just taking a
Okay, that's a
second.
good point. So then today we're not talking about like the positive part of it
Yeah.
because I don't think we need to really tell you
that it's
that you
positive.
stop that or something. We're going to talk about the negative effects that comparison has because I think that's just something that most people do all day long.
Yeah.
So we're going to start with telling you guys some ways that we have compared ourselves to others. I feel like this list could be like a mile
Yeah.
long. So, because I had to stop myself, I started writing way too many. I was like, okay, that's too many.
Oh my
And
gosh.
I still
you
had
did.
like 5. No,
Jeez.
I had so many more. I was like, no, stop. So we're going to tell you some of them.
I just said my body and my singing were like the main ones because as a teenager, and even now I still have to fight it, but definitely as a teenager, it's like my looks were my worth. Like if I looked good, I felt valuable. And if I didn't, I felt like trash on the side of the road. No one would ever care if I lived or died. So I would always compare my body to other people's bodies and like, oh, look at her arms, look at her legs, literally every body
Your
part.
legs to their legs. Your
Yeah.
arms.
And then my singing was like another way of kind of winning people over. So it's like, and I would do a lot of downward comparisons with that too. I'm like, oh, I can do this, whatever. And that actually really kept me from growing for a long time because I just be like, well, I'm better than that person. And then I got a rude awakening where I was like, wow, I actually have a lot that I could work on regardless of what other people are doing. I have things I can improve.
Yeah, I used comparison as a way to substitute for inner guidance. So I would look at the world around me, and if someone was doing something, instead of saying, "Oh, that's interesting, they're doing that," I would say, "Oh, am I supposed to do that too?" So I would be comparing myself constantly of like, "Okay, I'm 12. What is a 12-year-old supposed to be? Who am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to? Thank you. How am I supposed to look? How am I doing compared to everyone around me?" And I would even, it wouldn't even be an age thing too. I'd be like, okay, well, this is doing this, and they're older or they're younger. So like, why am I not doing that? Why do I not have that or whatever? So I used it as a gauge to kind of find out where I was, and I also used it in another way of like, talent in a way of like, so my brother Michael is like an incredible guitarist, so is my brother Christian, but growing up my brother Michael was extremely good by the time I was very young and just starting. So I thought, oh, literally up until like, I don't know, a few years ago, I thought Michael was so good at guitar, so I wasn't good at it because he was so much better than I was, which he was. He's amazing at guitar because he played for hours and hours and hours. I thought, oh, I'm not good because he's better. I didn't realize, oh, I can be good at this and he can just be better at it than I am. That's also an option. It's like, oh, Thomas Kincaid is great at painting, so I'm not as great, but I
can still
am
be
just
good.
in my own way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So career was a big one for me. Well, I guess still is a big one for me. Even at a really young age, I mean, I was like, I need to be on track. So I remember when I was 15 is when I decided that I was going to do singing as my focus or music of some sort. So I made that decision at such a young age because I was so focused on like, this is really important, whatever. And because that was one of the really important things to me, it was one of those things that I was really comparing myself with other people, like how on track am I? And I would really compare myself to other musicians, which was like such a high bar. I wouldn't really compare myself to my friends as much because I was like, oh, they're not even working in their careers right now. They're, well, working in their careers. They're working on school stuff that's going to go towards it. So that was a little confusing. But career, big one. And then accomplishments, similar. That was definitely a big one, seeing like how much have I accomplished at this age, comparing it to other people my age, like where am I? And it was weird taking so many different paths, doing so many unconventional things. It was weird comparing myself because sometimes it was like I couldn't really compare myself because it was so different. But then I was like, does that mean there's something wrong with me? That was a big one. There's something wrong with me. I think that was a big one for like boys and like appearance because I didn't do like my hair, makeup, even my eyebrows for until I was literally like 18, 19, 20, whatever. And I added in a little bit here and there. And I did think like, is there something wrong with me? I have no idea how to do makeup. I'm not allowed to wear makeup. All you people wearing makeup when you're like 12. And I was like, is there something wrong with me? I don't know how to do any of this stuff. I don't know how to look like that. I would compare myself like with no makeup, no hair, my hair not done. I definitely had hair. I had long hair. Yeah. I would compare that in my outfits to like other girls' outfits. And I'd be like, something is very wrong. This doesn't look anything like that. I don't know like how to look like that. So then I would come to the conclusion like, well, or I would ask a lot like, is there something wrong with me? And then with boys, that can be kind of a dangerous one. I feel like when you're young, like in teenage years, especially.
Oh yeah.
Cause I had an awakening. I'll say it. I had an awakening a little bit later where suddenly I realized like, I don't want to I don't want to follow everyone's path. I realized that later. But before that, I was like, not really confused. So with boys, I was really looking at my friends and they were like dating and having boyfriends and whatever and doing all this stuff, especially like from a young age, like middle school.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh my gosh, boys are not talking to me or asking me out or this, that, and the other thing right now. Is there something wrong with me? Am I insert unlovable, unattractive, unwanted, insert any of those things there? So that was a tough one. And I think that one's like can be dangerous because you can be like, oh, my friends have this many guys that like them and I need to also. So I need to maybe go to extreme measures to be attractive to guys. And then you end up doing things that are only to get them.
Mm-hmm. And also you can end up settling for an unhealthy relationship just because you think I have to be in a relationship because everyone else around me is.
No.
Yeah.
And even doing things like physically where you're like, oh, my friends did this, so now I have to do it.
No.
And you didn't even want to. So yeah, I'm not going to go into too many more categories. So what's yours?
Well, a big thing for me is just like my overall appearance, especially because I was so young when social media started. Like I was on like Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and whatever when I was like 10, 11, 12, especially
Crazy.
Instagram. I think I was maybe more like 13 around that
That's what
time.
kids do now.
That makes me
Yeah,
so sad.
but like, especially for me, like I wanted to look so like put together as these girls look, and I just couldn't figure out like how does their hair look so perfect and their makeup looks so perfect and their pictures like are edited even a certain way, and it's like I felt like I was trying so hard to get that like Instagram look and I could never measure up because like later I realized like, oh, they're like face tuning their pictures, or it's people that literally have like plastic surgery, or it's like they have professional makeup artists, or their hair, like they do these things that like I didn't really even have the means to do. And so that wasn't even something that I could achieve, or even like at my age, that wasn't something I could have, or like, I don't know. It's just this unachievable thing that I constantly compared myself to, and I could never win.
That's really interesting to think about how like Instagram came about, and like half of us didn't have that as kids, and then you guys. Would you say it was when you were that young, Amy, or were you kind of older by the
But
time?
MySpace, I was like 15 on MySpace, and I was looking at all these girls, and it wasn't Facetune. But I was just like, oh,
But
how do they
MySpace
do
was
like?
different,
It was
I
more
feel
like
like.
how do they do their hair and makeup and outfits like that, and it
Yeah.
was more real. than
MySpace, you
that.
could just
Yeah,
see more
like,
people that you never knew.
Instagram has
Yeah.
this whole like that started the whole like
It's like
influencers
perfection.
thing, especially me like being an influencer too. I would compare
Yeah.
myself to these other influencers and be like, I couldn't even be like, oh well, I'm not an influencer, so I don't need to do that. I was like, I am, so I need to look like this. Like this is how you're supposed to be, and I don't know how to
Yeah.
do it, and I'm trying so hard, but I just can't achieve this look that it looks like I'm supposed to have. And then another thing was like accomplishments was a big thing. Like I compare myself to literally anyone doing better than me at all times, like almost like I was like addicted to it, of like looking up people that had like bigger numbers than me, or like just anyone doing better, of like accomplished more, even people
That's
that didn't even
common.
make sense, like random like old men,
Bob
like
Dylan.
oh, he is so successful. I should have been
Yeah, I've totally
by
done
now
that.
at the age of like
I totally done that.
20. So I definitely compare myself a lot, and I still do. It's like something that I really try to like work on.
For me, I would say that what I compared myself to the most was just kind of whatever stage of life that I was in. And the two biggest things that stand out to me were, well, first of all, just sisters in general. Like that. Well, actually, I guess this would be three things. Sisters in general. When you have sisters, if you're watching this, you know. you compare yourself to your
know.
sister. It's a female, probably close in age to you, the same family, same circumstance, and you feel like if you're not on the same level, or if someone points out something about you between the two of you, even before YouTube, it's like it's very painful. Or if you feel like more boys have crushes on one of your sisters or both your sisters or whatever than you feel bad. And then also like musical theater. I did musical theater for 5 years, and I would always compare like my acting, singing, or dancing. Just so random. I mean, that's what I was so immersed in though. So, and other people would always talk about that. Oh, she's a good dancer, but she's not a good actress. Like they'd always compare those categories. So it was very natural. And then last would be obviously being in a band. When that started, I was 17, and then everyone just started ranking us all the time in the comments, like best singer to worst singer, best or prettiest to ugliest. Like that's just very painful to be like literally ranked and written as like 1 of 5 or 3 of 5 or 5 of 5, whatever. Like, so yeah, I think this social media in general, and then just like sisters, it just all like magnifies the comparison microscope.
Okay, that was a good like
Segue.
segue to talking about social media.
Oof.
Because social media definitely amplified this, and it basically like created a ranking system.
Literally.
So it's like you think that you can basically rank yourself by like how pretty you are, or really how liked you are, how popular you are, how loved you are. You could think any of those things. How desirable you are, how worthy you are. When you take your numbers, whatever, and you put them in there and see how they measure up with everyone else your age. I mean, the reality of that is though that there's so many different reasons why certain people have more followers than other certain people. They could put a lot more time and effort into it. They could come across better on the internet. They could do different things in person that result in a follow. Lots of different things. None of it meaning they're a better person or a more likable person necessarily. That's not what that means, but that has created like a really dangerous, again, environment for us, an opportunity. Especially when I think of like middle schoolers and high schools. Oh, it's so sad. Like you can literally put yourself in there and be like, this is where I rank. I'm 5 out of 10, or like, I'm in the middle. I'm at the bottom. Oh, I'm at the top. I got to stay at the top. Oh no, I'm starting to slip. Oh no, so that's really scares me. Anything else about social media you want to add?
Makes sense to me.
Oh, I was going to say,
Oh, it does. It makes sense. Sorry.
so I was introduced to this fascinating concept that I think is so like mind blowing, which is fantasy selves. And this was by a YouTuber that I watch called, her name's Allison Anderson. And basically she says that everyone has like their fantasy self. And I really think social media kind of like, I think that's a big part of where this even came from. Everyone has this like, and this is not a positive thing. This is not like, oh, I want to be a better version of myself. It's like the person that you like
think you're supposed to be,
and you're always like trying to get to that, but it's like you never actually will. So she used an example of like, I think her example was she wanted to be like a gym rat who was like always at the gym and like paid for this nice gym membership and got all these cute gym clothes, when in reality she didn't really like going to the gym. Wasn't really something that she did that often. So she was just, usually it's something that you spend a lot of money on. So it could be like beauty products, or like, oh, you want to, I don't know, just the way that you want to portray yourself that maybe isn't actually who you really are or what you really like. And I do think social media is like a huge root of that, of like
Where people portray their fantasy
people
selves.
create a fantasy self, like I'm always this happy fun
too easy.
girl and I do all these happy fun things or whatever, and
That's
it's like
scary.
but that's not really, and then people start to think that that's who you are, but it's not.
Oh, I literally know too many people that walk around in like Yeezys and designer sweatpants, and they have no money. They literally have no money. I know this for a fact. And I'm like, I don't wear those. That's not like comfortable or cool, whatever. But if I could buy them if I wanted to. Not to flex, but like I don't want to. I don't even want to. But like it stresses me out to imagine not being able to afford something and buying it anyway and being like, okay, it's good, right? This is good.
Because we want to portray
That's their
an image.
fantasy self, that they have these rich designer clothes, and whatever. But it's like, you can't afford that.
You're trying to get your
I know
ranking
you can't afford that.
higher. You're like, oh, if I have this car or these shoes or whatever, this bag, then it puts me in a higher ranking.
And the other part of that is that these big companies play on that. They know that about you, that you have this fantasy self, and they want to take your money. So it's like you're being manipulated.
Don't be manipulated by the man.
Okay, so let's talk about why we don't need to compare ourselves like in these negative ways all the time.
Well, for me, in general, it's like it feels like other people's lives are affecting me. Like, but she just did this, or this person's song did this well, or whatever. And it feels like all these things that other people are doing, not thinking about you, nothing to do with you, if you can make them almost about you, like that impacts me and that affects me. But if you actually think about it, you have your own journey and your own pace. And if you stop worrying about those people, it's like it doesn't exist, you know? And I really got, when I started like, sorry, I keep burping. When I started following more fans on Instagram, like I was like, oh, you know what? These people actually want me to follow them. I'm going to follow them. Like most people I follow don't care if I follow them or not. So I started following fans, and then my feed just got kind of diluted, and now it's just like random pictures. So I don't see all these influencers and stuff. I just see like random normal people, and I am not comparing myself to all these Instagram pictures because I don't see them anymore. And it's like, wow, it's like it doesn't exist. It doesn't matter. It doesn't affect me. It's not part of my life. But if you consume it, it is part of your life, and it is affecting you, even though it actually isn't. Like someone bought a new purse halfway around the world. That purse is not in this room. You don't have that purse. You will never lay a finger on that purse.
Great point.
Yeah.
But it's affecting you if you let it.
Yeah, because the things that people do, as Lisa was saying, they don't take something from you just because someone has something. Unless you literally had it first and they took it from you, they did not take anything from you. Other people can shine and you can clap and you can lift them up too, and they can lift you up. It's like it doesn't have to take something from you that someone else is doing well. It's just they're doing well and you can do well on your own.
It's kind of like when you make dessert and you make this big dessert and then you get a piece and then you give someone else a piece and you're all happy and it's fun.
Yes.
If you tried to eat that whole thing, you'd probably feel
You'd
sick.
get sick. You don't need the whole
You don't need all that.
Yeah.
So how can we stop comparison? And like Lauren said, it's like something that's gonna pop up in your head all the time, and it's gonna be an active thing you're gonna have to focus on every day. It's a new habit you're gonna have to create. So a big thing for me is realizing. I don't know when I realized this, but this really did help me. Focusing on my own journey, staying in my own lane. That whole thing took a while to really sink in for me, but using like a swimming metaphor, I guess, since we were all swimmers, when you're in a swimming race, I'm doing breaststroke, you're swimming, and then you can kind of almost always see this like one person that race who keeps looking over. And when you look over, you slow yourself down because where your head goes, then your body goes. So it can create drag and just screw up your stroke. You're not supposed to be doing that. And there's like always that one person who does that.
Yeah, you always notice
kinda
it
funny.
when you're
So
watching a race. This
awkward.
one person's swimming and they look over.
Yeah, and
It's so
it
obvious.
slows them down, and it doesn't
great metaphor.
it doesn't help them to like to do their best race because it slows them down, literally slows them down. So I've thought about that in my own life before. Like I'm in my lane, like swimming my race, and if I'm like looking over everyone else, I keep like losing focus and slowing myself down. And the reality, well, that illustrates one point, but the other point I'm trying to make is that it's actually not about the race of racing the people next to you to like win. It's more of like, I'm trying to improve my time. I'm trying to get better. I'm trying to get my stroke better, trying to have a good time doing this, all these different things. So it's like your own path, your own journey. You actually have the option of not looking at another person's path and then seeing how yours measures up. Like you could just look at it and then just stop thinking about it. You don't have to measure everything in your path against theirs. That's actually an option that we have. That once I realized that, I was like, oh, that's nice. I think I will not compare every aspect of my journey with theirs, because people really do have their own pace and their own journey and all these different things, which is hard to believe in the beginning. It does feel like you're supposed to be the same as everyone else's, but like we were talking about in another episode, what was it? The confidence episode, 2 episodes ago, I think.
They are very closely linked, I would say.
Yes.
Comparison and confidence are closely linked.
Oh, yeah.
I already forgot what I was going to say from that.
I
People's
was thinking of
paces.
something too from that episode too.
What
when you
was
were talking.
paces? How some people, if when you're young, it feels like everyone's moving at the same pace, going through grades, achieving things, whatever. But then you get older, and some people are late bloomers. Some people are early bloomers. Some people get massive success way later in life, and you could look at their life story before age 50 and be like, "Wow, what a bum!" And now they're like a billionaire. Okay, that literally happens. That sounds so dramatic, but that happens.
I know what I was saying. Okay, there's actually 2 things from that I was saying. I was saying saying that, like Kath was saying this and I was saying this as well, if you study biographies, different people's like life journeys who have done great things in life, you will see that they don't just all follow the same. Actually, in some ways, they follow the same thing where they have so much failure and so many people telling them they can't do things, whatever, but they don't just follow the same timeline. None of them do. It's not like there's this timeline and all the successful people in life have this timeline and that's just how it is. That is not true, but I think people actually do literally think that's true.
They
It's not
usually
true.
do things against the norm.
The timeline
Yes.
is
more often than not.
The timeline is literally just a social construct that you can deconstruct in your own brain and
Yeah, it
just
changes.
Your
Get it away.
Your
And that's the
timeline
other
is
thing from
whatever
that
you want it
episode.
to be.
The other thing from that
Yes.
episode is that I said this in that episode, but I think it's worth repeating, is that I do think you should ask yourself if the things that you're repeating to yourself are actually helpful. And we'll often say this is a truth thought, so it's the truth, but I'm saying something might be true, but it might not be helpful. So like I said in that episode, when thinking about us having a music career and being like, oh, it's one in a million chance. That's true, but it's not helpful. So I don't need to think about that all the time.
Also, just because something's true doesn't mean it can't
It's
change.
going to happen.
And
mean it
also,
can't change.
Yeah.
another point I just thought of is you need to question the things that you're just accepting as true. If you see someone on social media that's like very rich or very popular or whatever,
rich.
do you immediately think, oh, they're happy? How do you know that?
No.
Maybe they are, maybe they're not.
If they post,
But
I'm so happy.
I will
They
tell
ain't
you,
happy.
Not
being
be.
in the music industry and meeting a lot of different people, you know, we had a very unique experience. We've gotten to meet a lot of different types of people through our
Yes.
career. And I will tell you that a lot of people I meet, I would say especially very successful people, a lot of times there's just this feeling, some of them seem happy, but there's this feeling of like, we talked about this in the confidence one, it's like constantly needing more. And here's something I would challenge you is that if you're comparing yourself to these other people and you're like, their life is so extraordinary, I'm just this ordinary person, what am I even doing? It's like, here's something that not many people are able to do that I would challenge you that would be probably the most incredible thing you could achieve, which would be to learn to be happy and grateful in your life and with what you have already and what you're doing and where you are, because most people cannot do that. No matter how successful they are, they'll never be happy enough. They'll never have
that's
enough.
like a universal thing. No matter how much, I actually noticed that people of all different walks of life, all different places, people who aren't doing very well and people who are doing very well. That's something that a lot of people just
Because
can't
it's
get together.
It's this constant belief that happiness is outside of me. I have to achieve this thing. I have to do this thing. I have to be like this other person that I'm comparing myself to be happy. That's not true. It's something that's inside of you that, like, I'm just trying to empower you that you do have the power to find that in yourself. It's not something that you're lacking or that you have to like live this life that you're seeing online that people have to be happy.
Well, another
It's not where
thing-
happiness lies.
With the like social media comparisons, there's just a great quote that I really love that says, confidence is quiet, insecurity is loud. If
Ooh.
someone is saying how rich they are or how happy they are or how great their relationship is, why do they need to tell you that? It's like, my hair is blonde. Do you see these pieces? These pieces are blonde. It's like I'm trying to convince you. Or you could just
Ooh.
look at my head, decide for yourself what color my hair is. Why do I need to tell you so aggressively what color my hair is?
Yeah, we just live in this society that's like you have to be this like extraordinary person and have all this crazy stuff to be happy. I don't think that's true. I don't think that makes you like your life meaningful or
Yeah.
happy.
Yeah, you don't
You
have
just
to
have to
be
question that.
known. You don't have to be known by the world to matter.
You don't.
Yeah.
You can live an incredibly meaningful and happy and joyful and connected life and not be this famous known person.
Yeah.
And I would say a practical tip for comparison is like, I noticed I have some like compulsive behaviors with comparison where it's like, I like have certain people where like, I'll just go look at their page and see like, oh, they have bigger numbers than me. I'm sure you have these like compulsive behaviors that you do where like you check and check and check these people or these
like
things or these
habits.
charts. Like, notice what they are and stop doing them. Like, make a conscious decision. I'm not going to look at that person anymore. I'm just not going to look at it. I'm going to
yes.
unfollow. I'm going to stop
Yes.
myself from
Boundaries.
searching and looking.
Great place
Stop.
to start.
Yeah, that's great. I think, and also you have to realize like it feels like you're just living in this giant ranking system because you are honestly like social media is literally a ranking system, and it's very painful. And I want to also empower you to question that and say, do I need to put power in this thing that I literally have no control over? And all these random people, do I have to like give the power of my happiness away? Do I have to assign so much meaning to this giant social media ranking system for my happiness and for my worth? Like, that's like probably like the biggest question I would say of our generation. It's like, where are you going to place like where you find your happiness and your worth? Is it going to be in social media and in comparing yourself to these other people? I don't know. Just think about that, because it's heavy. That's
you can
like a heavy
opt
thing.
out of it. You actually have the option to opt out.
You do.
Yeah, there's this quote that I heard when I was younger, and I really always loved it. I don't remember who it's attributed to. So whoever you said this,
Thank you.
this one's for you. It says, because I know a lot of quotes are attributed to people, but
It's not really.
it's
their
not
quote.
really them who said it. And it says, a flower doesn't think about the flower blooming next to it. It just blooms. And I'm like, whoa, it does. Like a rose isn't just like, oh no, this other one next to me is blooming already and I'm not. No, it just goes,
Yeah.
Love
it
that.
just does it.
I
It just
love
lives
that.
its life and it's beautiful.
This is another quote that is attributed to Albert Einstein, but I don't know if he actually said it. Some people say he didn't. So, Anonymous said,
Someone said,
everyone is a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing it's stupid.
Love that.
You can't compare yourself to other species.
yeah.
And that's what we do so much. It's so weird.
Yeah.
Okay. So, guys, that's a lot to think through. I suggest doing some journaling. Go through maybe some things that you've been comparing yourself, some ways you can compare yourself to other people that actually don't make sense at all, first of all. And then, second of all, people you're like compulsively looking at to punish yourself or guilt or shame yourself, whatever it is. And then maybe like think about how you can focus on being in your own lane, your own journey, and what are some positive ways you could change your life to combat comparison culture, because it's always going to be here. But what can you do to change it in your life? That's what I'm going to suggest. And I think a great thing to do in that
Journey process.
process is listening to our new song, I Am
Enough.
Yeah! Because it totally, guys, I will do this. Do this already, but I will do this. I use this song as a way to like lift me up, like a lot of our songs. But this is a great song to lift you up. So
great.
Maybe next time you're starting to do this, turn off what you were doing. It's probably the internet, and turn on I Am Enough. This song would actually be a perfect thing to listen to when you're comparing
Literally
yourself.
perfect.
Love that. Okay, but anyway, we're really excited. It came out today. Definitely go listen to it. We're gonna jump into Bag of Random.
Oh, I was gonna push that over. to
Lisa has the longest arms, guys.
She
That's
does.
true.
My wingspan is 5'9", even though I'm 5'6". Okay. This or that is
Wait,
today's
wouldn't I
bag of random. And the question is, pancakes, waffles, or French toast?
All right, let's hear it.
Oh my gosh. If I if I had to choose one of those right now, I would
down
say
the line.
French toast.
Oh,
Love it.
man.
I do love waffles, but French toast is superior. It's
I
like,
love
oof,
all of them.
Just say it.
pick one.
in this moment, I can't decide. So the first thing that popped in my head was waffles.
Okay.
Oh wait, I have Eggo waffles every morning, so maybe that's my answer.
Yeah.
Okay, French toast is not good. Don't know who thinks that. They're wrong.
You're sick.
So I would choose a nice fluffy pancake.
Yes.
Oh, you're
Oh
canceled.
my
Oh my
gosh. Okay, listen. French toast is definitely the best, but I have to say that all three of these are absolutely outstanding.
No.
Love them.
Pancakes
I love all three.
are extremely hit or miss.
Nope,
they need
they're
to be
great.
made the right way.
A
and many
good
times they're not
pancake?
And
good.
a fluffy pancake.
Yes,
Oh,
that
I can't even hear.
Pancakes are
You
the
need
last
to get
one.
the Annie's organic pancake mix, Kristen. You will
I'm pretty
love
sure
it.
I did get it and I did love it.
It's
I'm pretty
so
sure I
good.
have
If
that.
the pancakes don't have chocolate chips in them, that's a waste of time.
No, it's
They
not.
can.
No,
Put
they're
them
great
in.
every way.
They're
Plain
great
with
every
syrup,
way
they're
with
just great every way.
bananas. Oof.
Yeah, they're all three amazing. But
Berries.
French toast.
I'm gonna preface mine by saying Max and I are gonna make waffles tomorrow, and I'm very excited.
So is
Um,
it waffles then?
But no, I actually like pancakes the best.
Yes.
I
why are you
freaking
making
love a good.
waffles?
Listen, but this is the weird thing about me. I actually sometimes prefer. This is so weird. A super salty, buttery pancake with no syrup or
Salty?
anything. Like, you make sure you put a good amount of salt in the batter, and then you cook it in
put
butter
salt in the batter?
on both sides. So it's a super salty, buttery, no syrup, no sweet, just like
No,
savory
I do think that's
pancake.
good, but not the
You would probably love chicken and waffles then. It's like
Oh, I
savory.
do. I do.
really good.
Sounds like a
love
stomach
that.
ache.
No, it's really
is.
good.
It
But that
is
is a
good.
stomach.
I just
have
can
a
do the
little
stomach
bit.
ache.
It is a
Have a
stomach
half.
ache.
You could make like a home one.
I think I kind of
I
had
do.
that
Control
one.
the
I have.
ingredients.
I mean, maybe. Does
Yeah.
it have syrup on it?
It doesn't have to.
I mean,
got a
I like
fancy one.
syrup.
I had a fancy
I
one
put
once
syrup
with like
on it.
Okay,
fancy
honestly,
syrup.
bougie, but if I had like an organic
Wait,
chicken
I did
with
this.
like
Do it, Kat.
a nice light breadcrumb
Wait,
and then like an
I did
organic,
this.
you know,
Do
healthy
it.
type
I
of syrup.
did organic chicken that was like chicken tender, and then I did.
Wait, you
or
made
like,
healthy
and then
chicken
I did
and waffles.
organic
Of
waffles,
course
and I
she
did
did.
organic maple syrup, and it was really good.
Yeah, that sounds good. Honestly,
It's-
better than a bunch of grease.
It still gave me a stomach ache though, because it was a
Yeah,
lot.
it hurts.
It was a
Just
lot.
make a
Sounds
small
like
one.
it's a lot to digest.
But I did that, and it was very, very good. I've done it the other ways as well, the non as healthy ways.
I would
But
try that.
it's really good.
Okay, ladies.
Okay, we're gonna move on to Sister Spotlight, where every single week we spotlight a different sister. We have Lauren's Take, Get Real with Christina, Sappy Thoughts with Kath, Amy's Current Crisis, Exposing Lisa's Weird Past, and this week's spotlight is on Lauren. Lauren's
Hey,
Take.
Lauren.
Hey, Lauren. We like
you
things you do.
Okay.
Stop it. All right,
This is my take.
All right, so this is Lauren's take. Lauren's going to answer some questions. We like to do a mixture of deeper ones and weirder ones, so let's get into it. Okay, first question comes from Shay, and she said, "What's the weirdest email you've ever received?"
Email?
Probably those ones where it's like, "Hello, I am a prince from Egypt, and I want to give you $1 million." And like,
From Egypt.
that's
of
a weird
Egypt?
one. Don't love that one. Haven't gotten in a while though. So.
The Prince of Egypt wants to give you $1 million. Okay, this is an interesting one. What is something you miss from being young? From
Ooh.
Mia.
Something I miss from being young.
Yeah.
First of all, I am young.
I think they mean like 8.
Thank
you know?
you. But
kid.
let's see, from being 8.
Mia, I'm editing your question.
You know, I miss that I was really flexible when I was young. I could do the splits on both legs.
What?
I miss that.
That's
know
kind of
that.
shocking to
And
me.
I could
I didn't
be
know that.
flexible again if I tried.
Applied yourself.
Oh my
But I
God.
missed that. It was so easy.
It's, yeah.
You should go for it since you're running and everything.
Yeah, you should.
You should.
Add
Stretch
in
it
some
out.
Okay,
stretches.
guys, I'll do it.
All right.
Stretching is so good.
Let's see it.
It's so good for you in the long term. Do it.
Like when you're pregnant.
Yes, that as well.
Okay, 40 years from now, what do you think will be nostalgic to people? From Juliana.
2 people?
Like to the society at large. What
like,
things right now will be nostalgic
remember
40 years
2020?
later?
literally anything.
Everything.
Everything will be
I guess it's like I guess
nostalgic.
they're trying to say like what's something that's gonna go extinct
Well, not
then
TV,
kind of.
maybe.
Like remember when we had
But like anything that's happening right now that isn't available anymore.
okay,
It'll be like
but here's an
something
example.
that-
Here's an example of the opposite.
You gave me her
Okay, like
answer.
okay, One Direction will be very
Oh, yeah.
nostalgic.
There you
There's
go.
something.
Aren't
They already are. Like
Yeah,
someone.
they're
Lauren,
Hey,
this is
M&Ms
Lauren's
were
take.
created
It's
in like
Lauren's take.
1950, and people still eat them all the time, so they're not
That's
nostalgic.
not
So like,
nostalgic.
is there anything
That's
you can
a
think
good
of that you think
point.
might? Yeah.
Okay, I guess
good
just
point.
like music that's popular right now will be nostalgic. 'Cause it's not gonna be popular later.
Lana Del Rey.
Um,
Cashier that one D.
yeah, sure, a lot of things, but I can't tell the future, so I don't know what will be extinct in 40 years. Sorry.
This oracle has limits. Okay. All right. This one's from Sophie. She said, "Is a hot dog a sandwich?"
Oh my gosh.
Lauren hates these questions, so we
You
got to put
always
this
do
to me.
them. Like, why? Is a hot dog a sandwich? No. And people will be like, well, but this, that. It's just not, and that's the end of it. It doesn't matter. It's not a
Whoa.
sandwich.
Okay, I think I wrote this one wrong when I wrote it down. Tammy said, "What is a secret conspiracy, or what secret conspiracy would you like to try?" I think she meant to say, "Would you like to try to make, like, you want to make up a conspiracy that people
Oh,
would
I've
like?"
heard that question before.
Wait, what?
Like,
get it.
what
They're saying if
conspiracy?
you could create
Like,
a-
creating like a conspiracy,
what
theory.
would you,
Do you
what
have
would
one you want to
put out
create?
there? I've heard that
Wait,
question before.
Is this a thing people think about?
Yes, 'cause
Yes.
I've seen this on another. I've seen this on another podcast.
Okay.
You know, like
If
you watch
I-
those 1 hour conspiracy videos. What would yours be?
If I wanted to make one that I didn't actually think.
Yeah,
right
that you
now,
don't actually think. You're just
Yeah,
making it
it's
up.
got to be a new one.
I can't really just make up a conspiracy theory in this moment, but any conspiracy theory I have will always have something to do with the government.
say that.
There's probably millions I could think of. So just something about the government. That's all I really got for you.
Cool.
Sorry,
Nice.
guys.
Okay, one last question from Rachel. She said, any advice for the Enneagram Type 9? Which, if you didn't know,
Oh my
Lauren is a
gosh.
Type 9. So
Good
she
luck
can speak
to
with
you.
experience.
Good luck to you.
My advice is okay. I know you just want to chill. You just want to have a good time. You just want to take a nap. I get it. But if you do that, you will be very unhappy and deeply filled with rage that you don't even know is there. So my advice is like, I know you just want comfort over everything. I get it. But you need to intentionally seek discomfort or you will live in ruins. So you got to push yourself to not just be a lump person. It's not a good life. I know it's like, oh, I just want to watch TV. It'll make me feel better. Haha, forget everything. Don't bring up anything. Avoid all conflict at all costs. But it's not the way to live. You think it is, but just trust me, it's not. You'll be much more at peace if you just deal with your life and deal with yourself. And it's okay to be mad. The world's not going to end. It's okay.
Ooh.
It's good to be mad. It's natural. It's okay.
It's natural.
Nice.
Love that.
Wow, that's great.
Good one,
Thank
Lauren.
you, Lauren.
I love that.
We always appreciate your
Welcome.
take.
Thank you. Thank you.
Gotta give Lauren her platform. Lauren deserves to speak.
Okay, I can
not a-
take my own platform. Thank you.
She's
Lauren takes the stage. 2020.
Okay, well, thank you. All right, guys. Well, I'm just going to remind you for a third time, go listen to our brand new song, I Am Enough. Out everywhere that you can stream music, I would assume. I hope. That's where it is. Go listen to it. Let us know what you think. And I really hope that you guys can overcome comparison culture and create some new habits in your life and get a new mindset and go into a more joyful, positive place in your life. See you guys in the next episode. If you're on Patreon and if you're just on YouTube, we'll see you in 2 episodes. Bye, guys.
Bye.
You've been listening to the Cimarelli podcast. Follow Cimarelli on Spotify and subscribe on YouTube. You can also find Cimarelli on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.